Elden Ring patch 1.6 went live earlier today, and it's brought a number of interesting changes, especially ones that could really affect the way people interact with the game's multiplayer components of summoning and invasions. The top of the patch notes reads that a new function has been added to send summoning signs to summoning pools in multiple areas, including distant areas. Basically, that means players waiting to be summoned to help others with a boss fight or a tricky area won't have to wait as long to be summoned, since they can put multiple signs down in different areas. This will also allow summoned players to do more, as they can travel to more areas in general. It's a really nice quality of life improvement, and From Software has gone and done the same favor for invading players. The second note reads, added the function to invade a larger area, including distant areas. The third major patch note actually affects a quest line that previously required players to engage with PvP. Now you can progress that quest line by fighting an NPC instead. The official notes explain, added a new way to advance White Mask Varys' quest line other than participating in multiplayer invasion by defeating a new NPC. If you haven't played that far into the story of Elden Ring, don't fret. You've met Varys, he's that first NPC you meet after stepping out into the lands between for the first time, and then he calls you maidenless. Anyways, for the rest of the patch notes, things are looking pretty good. Great swords, curved great swords, and great hammers got some major buffs. To summarize, they're basically faster. You can roll sooner after using them, strong and charge attacks are faster, roll distance while having a light load is greater, and even some adjacent Ashes of War and weapon skills got some tiny buffs. Unblockable Blade got a hitbox increase, and Glintstone Pebble and Glintstone Dart have more range, but do less damage and stagger. There is, however, a few balance changes that's going to make a couple people cry. Bloodhound Step, which allows players to basically teleport safely with a ton of invulnerability frames, has had a nerf to its travel distance and iframe window. The patch notes further extrapolate reduced performance when used continuously, but increased travel distance when on light equip load. In addition, the Rivers of Blood katana weapon skill, Corpse Piler, also got nerfed with less damage and less bleed buildup. This is likely going to impact how some players approach some of the more difficult bosses in the game, as well as, any players who were using those abilities pretty heavily in PvP. No need to fear for Let Me Solo Her though, who uses the Rivers of Blood katana, because that dude ain't really getting touched anyway. The skill Quick Step also has a shorter activation window, which allows for better mobility, but also likely can't be spammed like Bloodhound Step due to a penalty for overuse. Similarly, Quick Step also got a buff to travel distance when used with a light equip load. The only other nerf really was to the sorcery Stars of Ruin, which took a hit to its tracking ability. The rest of the patch notes addressed over 30 bug fixes. Some fun stuff in there. People have been making jokes about a fix to the deathbed dress, which for some unexplained reason made players more noticeable to NPCs while they're wearing it, even if they're crouching. Significant performance issues surrounding Ordina and Liturgical Town have been addressed, and there is one other patch note that might make Elden Ring speedrunners sweat, at least for a little bit. Yes, the dreaded patch note fixed a bug in some maps that allowed users to reach unexpected locations using certain procedures. I know speedrunners tend to stick to older versions of games anyway, but I think that's one of those interesting notes where people are going to run out and check to see which types of tricks and tactics are still going to work for a particular run. From Software also made it so unauthorized items will be denoted with an error text, and this hopefully will make it easier to avoid weird hacks or malware like the infamous Deathbed Smalls glitch, where people were dropping mysterious underwears that could crash your game if you picked them up. So obviously, don't go around picking up weird underwear. That's a pretty good rule for real life as well as in Elden Ring. Obviously, in Elden Ring, messing around with unauthorized items or assets in the game can get you blocked or banned, so there's that. All right, those are the highlights. For the most part, people seem to be pretty pumped on the patch, and Elden Ring, which has reportedly sold at least 13 million copies so far, continues to stay relevant as we begin our approach into the end of the year. I'm personally pretty happy with the patch. It looks like I can take my weird strength build character off the bench now, and the updates to the multiplayer stuff is really exciting. People are going to have more encounters now. They're going to be just less waiting in general, as well as where people are encountering invasions and engaging with PvP. Locations are probably going to change a little bit, so that's also exciting. as well as weapon changes, right? That's going to impact the combat in PvP, as well as potentially throughout the rest of the game with like NPCs and stuff. Those weapon changes might affect things long term that we just don't know about, or things that we might not discover until, you know, a lot more people play through the game again, or continue to play the game and discover that stuff later. So all pretty exciting news for this patch. I'm pretty excited to jump back into Elden Ring. Let me know in the comments if you're planning to do the same, or, you know, if you never stopped, or, you know, if you just got some weird builds you've been messing around with. I'd love to hear that stuff in the comments. Thank you so much for watching again, and for more video game news and updates, stay tuned right here to Inside Gaming.